Yo, what is good? I'm about to give you my top 3 plugins. Let's get it. Alright, so here's the beat. So this beat samples 7 Years by Lucas Graham, and I'm just gonna play a portion of it, and then we'll get into the whole plugin thing, so you can see how they function in the context of an actual beat in a song. Alright, so now that you've heard the song, here's how we're going to use the plugins in context, and I'm going to demonstrate to you what they do. I'm going to explain their functions and, of course, encourage you to buy, because what kind of dude would I be if I didn't put you onto some heat? Alright, so now we're going to head over to the mixer, right? And as you can see, I don't have any of the plugins engaged because I wanted you to hear what it sounded like without it before I engage them and show you how they function and what they do with it. So first things first, my favorite one, top #1 spot, is the Pro Q3 by Fat Filter. Now, if you don't know how an EQ functions, obviously, you have your low end, your high end, and this basically lets you adjust the frequencies of whatever you're working on, right? What I like about this EQ specifically is that it's very transparent sounding. So in general, like, you're not gonna get a lot of extra noise or coloration from the signal. Additionally, you can hone in on other frequencies that you might want to duck out or boost just by like listening to them, because they do have an isolated listening function in this EQ, which is very helpful. And obviously, even if you're not an engineer, as a producer, like, you do want to adjust sounds. Like, the first thing you should do is adjust the fader, but secondly, if you want to like adjust the signal, you should definitely hit the EQ, and this one will definitely allow you to do that. And I'm not saying this is the only EQ you will ever need or ever use, but this is definitely my favorite, and this is what I use the most. Alright, so I'm just gonna do a little demonstration on the main sample. I'm gonna isolate it, and then... So as you can hear it playing, right? We're gonna duck out some of the slow end to make room for the 808 that will eventually come in. And obviously, when you're actually mixing and doing stuff like this, you want to keep things in context. But for the sake of this, just a demonstration as to why I love this. So we're gonna duck out the low end, cut it a little bit. Gonna listen for some frequencies. And you want to listen for anything that's like ringing out specifically, but you know. But that's just a general overview of how you might use this plugin. Alright, so the next plugin we got is Fresh Air by Slate Digital. Now, Slate Digital, their plugins are very surgical sounding. And by that, I mean they're very clean. They don't add a lot of color to the signal, but they might take a little color away if you use them improperly. Now, Fresh Air is free. So that's the first part. Like, if you ever like need a free plugin, this would be the one you go to. Now, Fresh Air functions similarly to an EQ in the sense that it'll boost whatever frequencies, in this case mids and highs, but it will add a little bit of sauce to it that you might be missing in some of your hi-hats and snares, which is what I usually tend to use it on. So I'm just going to demonstrate to you on the hi-hat. I'm going to solo this. It's going to boost some of the highs, see? Now, ideally, you've never boosted this much, but this is just to show you how it works. It's very easy. There's only 2 knobs. And then additionally, you have the trim function in case you ever put the gain up too high. But I don't know, Fresh Air just adds a little sparkle to like whatever you put it on. So I love it on hi-hats, love it on snares, even vocals sometimes. If you need a little extra top end, like that's my go-to. Honestly, you can really put it on anything. All right, and last but not least, this one, honestly, I should have put this in my top spot, because like when it comes to hip-hop, 808s are like the most important thing. Like, aside from like melodies and everything else, a good 808 will carry your song. Like, if you get niggas heads knocking, like, yeah, don't f with it. So this plugin is called Voice of God by Universal Audio. Now, the only downside of this plugin is if you don't have like a Universal Audio like preamp or something, like, you can't buy it. But if you ever get the breach and you do have a little bit to splurge on, I would definitely invest in Voice of God. Now, this plugin is relatively simple as well. Most of these plugins are very simple, which is probably the best part. Mixing and all types of audio stuff like production don't have to be complicated if you don't want them. So that's one of the things I look forward to when I look for a plugin. Like, I try to make sure the interface is as clean and as simple as possible, because you don't want to have to deal with a bunch of knobs or anything like that you don't understand. In the case that you don't understand it, most plugins do come with a manual that you can read, but who wants to read? Fuck that. The amplitude knob will allow you to adjust whatever frequency by a certain volume, and obviously the frequency volume allows you to pinpoint the frequencies that you want to boost it in the first place. When the color of these buttons is red, that means it is engaged. When it is green, that means it is not engaged. You can put in a whole bunch of different combinations, such as this being on, or this one being on and this one being off, and then it will adjust what frequencies it targets differently. Now, for the sake of this one, I've already tested this, so for the sake of this one, I'm gonna have this one engaged, and I'm just gonna show you what the 808 sounds like. Okay, so this plugin is weird because like it targets a frequency above where you put it. So it's not gonna engage until you put it below the threshold that you want. And I'm gonna show you how that works. So we're gonna play this. Oh my god. Yeah, now obviously now you can hear the 808 knocking. So now in context, it's gonna sound like. So yeah, those are my 3 favorite plugins at the moment. Additionally, this beat is for sale. So if you want it, hit my line and let's get it. Let's get to work. Alright, peace.
Don't need a gang, I got my squad and that's just all I need. Born kingdoms, it's a conquest, claim everything we see. Never been the type to say the ends justify the means. This time around, I don't care how my goals are achieved. One in the chamber and that one is pointed at your mind. I went to attack cause I'm a 10, it ain't no fucking 9. Lay you down at first.